We are now going to look at equivalent fractions and the simplest form of fractions. Now the word equivalent sounds like equal. So an equivalent fraction means both the fractions are equal. For example, if we look at 1/2, what would be the equivalent if I have quarters? So for example, I cut my cake into halves. If I have one of those halves, how many quarters does that equal to? Now with fractions, it's very important. What we do at the top, we do at the bottom. So what did I do with that 2 to get to 4? I times by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. What I do at the bottom, I do at the top. So 1 times 2 is 2. So 1/4, 1/2 is equal to 2 quarters. They are equivalent. If we look at 3/5, what did I do with the 5 to get to 15? I times by 3. For fractions, what I do at the bottom, I do at the top. So 3 times 3 is 9. So 3/5 is equal to 9/15. So far we've been multiplying at the top and the bottom. You can also divide to get an equivalent fraction. For example, if we have 10/20ths and I want to know how many quarters that is, what did I do with the 20 to get to 4? I divided by 5. Remember what I do at the bottom? I do at the top. So 10 divided by 5 is 2. So 10/20ths is equal to 2 quarters. Same for this one. 5/25ths equals 1 over something. What did I do with the 5 to get to 1? I divided by 5. What I do at the top, I do at the bottom. 25 divided by 5 is 5. So 5/25ths is equal to or equivalent to 1/5. So that's equivalent fractions. It's very important that you balance the fractions, that the one side is equal to the other side. It's very important that you multiply by the same thing at the top and the bottom, or divide by the same number at the top and the bottom. We're going to have a look at simplest forms. Simplest means the smallest. Now, in fractions, even if they don't ask you to do it, you must always make your fractions as small as you can, the answer. Right, now let's start with something like 5/10. You have to make this as small as you can, always. You have to write it in its simplest form, which means you must find something that can divide into the top and the bottom without a remainder. Now it's easiest to use the number we've got at the top. So 5 goes into itself once. And then 5 goes into 10 twice. It can't go any smaller because there are no more numbers that can divide into 1 and 2 without a remainder. Of course, 1 can divide into 1 and 2, but we don't divide by 1 because we get the same answer. Because 1 divided by 1 will give us 1, and 2 divided by 1 will give us 2. So we don't bother dividing by 1 because you will get to the same answer. Now, for example, if we take 3/21, what can divide into the top and the bottom without a remainder? 3. 3 goes into itself once, and 3 goes into 21 7 times. So the simplest form of 3/21 is 1/7. You must always, when you are doing fractions, write the simplest form when you get to the answer. Now, you don't always use the top number. For example, let's say 6/10. Obviously, 6 doesn't go into 10 without a remainder. So now you have to find another number that can divide without a remainder into the top and the bottom. In this case, it will be 2. 2 goes into 6 3 times, and 2 goes into 10 5 times. There's nothing that can divide into the top and the bottom to make it smaller, so that is your simplest form. I want to show you one more where sometimes it's easier to divide by 2. So if it can be divided by 2, I suggest that you do. But for example, let's say we have 12 over 24. Now we know that 2 can divide into 12 and to 24. Let's say you don't want to work with a 12 and you start with 2. 2 goes into 12 6 times. 2 goes into 24 12 times, but you're not finished. This number can still go smaller. So for example, 3 can go into 6 twice. And 3 can go into 12 4 times. Once again, we are not finished. This one can go even smaller. We can say 2 goes into itself once, and 2 goes into 4 twice. Now we can't go any smaller because we are done. Now, I want to just remind you, if you skip this step, if you could see that 12 goes into itself once, and 12 goes into 24 twice, you would have gotten to the same answer, but I encourage grade 4 and 5 to take the long road unless you know your tables very well. That was equivalent fractions and simplest forms.